Behaviorist with work wisdom, where we help you adopt high-performance mindsets, behaviors, communication, and culture. I'm your host, Kedren Crosby. Our intention for the Behaviorist podcast is to share accessible, concrete practices that you can weave into your whole life to begin a shift toward joy and meaningful achievement. Today, we're focusing on the magic ingredient of sustained joy and achievement, self-confidence. What is it? How do you get it? How do you sustain it? How even do you make it contagious within our teams, our families, our friend groups? We're grateful to have my dear friend and inspiration, Salena Coachman, joining me today. So Salena serves as the Vice President of Talent Sustainability and Talent Acquisition for Armstrong World Industries. So you enjoy life to the fullest.
I do.
You do. And it's such a joy to watch you with your family, your friends, traveling, entertaining. You throw the world's greatest parties, at cooking, and of course, keeping fit in all the ways, emotionally and physically. And you're just an inspiration.
Thanks, Kedren.
So I knew when we were going to record this podcast on confidence, I needed you in the studio. Because you do everything you do so artfully and so gracefully with your self-confidence. So I wanted to know more, and I thought our listeners would want to know a few things from you. So anyhow, so thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So as I was doing research, I found that you studied in undergraduate school English, but also vocal and performing arts.
Yes.
So I was thinking back to high school Salena and imagining high school Salena.
Yeah.
And so tell me about sort of why high school Salena decided. Did you know that's what you wanted to study, or did you land in?
Not at all.
Tell me about
not
that.
Not at all. High school Salena, of course, was also middle school and childhood Salena, right? So backing it up just a little bit, that girl was very shy. My parents divorced when I was 11, and as you know, a lot of kids get stuck in that space. They probably don't know why, but there's a space of stuck, you know, and mine was my voice and my thoughts, and how do I interpret that to other people? And if I had something emotional or something serious I needed to discuss, I would just cry. I didn't know how to voice it. And my mom was just puzzled by this. She said, I got to fix this child, And so she started writing to me and demanding that I write her back, envelope and everything. So, living in the same house, she'd write me a note and I'd write her back.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Your mother,
she's so patient.
Wise.
She's wise and patient. She's still a postcard. She's that person that is really a walking greeting card all the time. Oh
my goodness.
But she started making me read them aloud to her. Read your letters to me. Once we established that banter of the letters back and forth. And now, mind you, I had no problem. I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up in the Baptist church in the South. So I'd sing at church and, all the obligatory things I'd have to do with no problem because it was stage, right?
Okay.
But when it came to me personally, I just shut down. So we went through this practice, and then in school, my mom found out about a program in which the children actually had to memorize the story. I don't know if you remember that. That was part of theater when we were younger. That you basically did a full playback of whatever you just heard. And I was great at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
So would you say that high school Salena, she's having all this success, homecoming and student council and performing. Would you say that high school Salena was confident?
Not at all.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
okay.
Probably the extreme opposite of what one would call confident, right? I think I had a lot of different things that I didn't share that had me quiet for a long time, and of course the podcast today isn't long enough for that, but
we'll have you back in the studio.
Yeah, I'll have you back,
Yes.
And we'll talk more about women's rights and things.
Okay.
But there was things that I hadn't shared with my parents that probably should have been shared at that age. And so you're harboring things, feeling like a bad person because of the things. In some ways, some of the acts of kindness and goodness is probably saying, well, I'm doing all of these good things. So I'm actually not bad, right? So it was a confused Salena in high school.
Okay.
No one in the outer world knew that, right? They saw the helper, the active in everything person, but struggled. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to hear a little bit more about the journey.
Yeah.
Before we follow this thread of high school Salena to confident Salena today, if you're feeling confident today, I want to talk about what is confidence.
Yeah.
And so we're finally launching a Substack. Is that what it's called? Substack? Yeah. Everyone's got a Substack, and Dylan on our team for about 5 years has said we're behind. So we finally are doing it.
Nice.
And so we're writing collaboratively. And so we just wrote our first team article on confidence, and we grappled with how are we defining confidence. And we landed on confidence, self-confidence is trusting your current self as well as trusting your future self to navigate life well, knowing fully well that you'll face and grow from uncertainty and struggle. And you're trusting yourself anyhow. So that's where we landed. I know there are lots of other definitions. Another definition I love is that you have an optimistic view that you'll have a positive outcome. So what are your thoughts about how do you define self-confidence or confidence?
Yeah, I really thought about this, and I'd written a few notes to kind of keep myself aligned with a lot of things that Work Wisdom is working on, and my own journey. And I came up with this, which feels good with what you just said also. I said, a practice of choice, self-regard, and inner authority.
So good. I want to follow up on high school Salena, and I want to see where she is.
Yeah.
So she went off to college.
She did.
And she studied English, such a fantastic thing to study, to become a wise woman.
Yes.
And then also voice and performing arts. When would you say Salena found her inner authority, her self-regard, her love of herself?
Oh my goodness, that was mid-30s.
Okay.
Before I even tapped into it. Okay. I wouldn't even say found it. I would say the tap happened. That was a long journey, honestly. And like most people, it has a domino effect. How you feel about yourself has a lot to do with what you do in life, the choices, your financial choices, health choices, everything. And while I had begun a journey rather of physical health and some serious things that had happened at an early age, and was battling that. I never saw that at that point. 27 is when a lot of this started with my health. Never saw it as part of my mental and spiritual growth. You're at that age, I think you're just segmenting something in your life happening, versus this is part of a whole.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Okay.
Now I know it to be part of a whole, right? And it's part of a journey. It's part of my story, not the story, but it is part of a full assessment of how I know I am confident at this point in my life. But the journey really began the first time I moved away from my family and friends as I knew them, right? And I remember sitting in a friend group in Chicago. I probably was there 3-4 months. And my girlfriend, who's also a psychologist, said, "Congratulations." I'm like, well, for what, And she says, you are now able to choose. So you've moved away from that concentric circle that you knew, not that it was bad, but you never got to choose. People chose you and boxed you into who you decided was you for them. And now you're not in that space.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with it?
Oh my goodness.
And that was just overwhelming for me, right? I'm like, I do get to choose.
Yeah.
I get to choose them all over again if they're safe for me, if they feel good to me, if they're positive. But I also get to choose new people and new paths, right? I get to choose the unknown. And that was a pivotal point, I believe, both in my career and in my personal life. I began to look at things different in regards to that. And I spoke that to people. I would say, I'm choosing you. You know, thank you for coming my way. You know, not making them seem like you don't have a choice either, right?
Yeah.
But I'm choosing this. I think this is smart for my life. And let's see where it goes. It also then began to teach me how to forgive myself if it was a bad choice. You know, it's like, well, because I gave myself some ownership. It's like, well, I made that decision.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. When I think about you knew who you were and you knew what you wanted so that you could make those choices.
Yeah.
I often work with people who are in life transitions from one job to another or something else is going on and they've lost who they are. So they've lost their confidence, but they've underneath that, they've lost who am I? What do I even like? I send them to Barnes & Noble with a homework assignment of just rambling around till they find themselves in a section and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea I cared about airplanes or knitting or whatever. Because you have to sort of rediscover yourself, love yourself.
Yes.
And then make those choices.
Yeah.
So that is self-confidence, isn't
I
it?
think so. And what it also helped me with is then I had probably 5 moves after that, career-wise. And I believe what it helped me most with is also saying, I'm the common denominator. When I bring myself into this situation, in any of these cases, I'm the common denominator.
Yeah.
So I have no place to blame where the location is, you know, what the circumstances. I'm like, I'm still bringing me, you know, and that in itself is confidence. You know, it's knowing your presence, your abilities, your drive, the you is going to add value, you know, and it's saying, now how is that going to show up? You know.
So beautiful. So many podcasts ahead of us, Salena. Let's just start a show. So I wanted to talk about physical presence, executive presence. So we love Sarah Ann Hewlett, this economist who studies executive presence. And so last year she had a new article in Harvard Business Review about how executive presence is changing. So she had done this research in 2012 and then replicated the study again in 2022 after Me Too, after Black Lives Matter, after COVID, see what are we hungry for when we say, I want executive presence in a person. What is that even, that vague, you know, kind of hateable phrase, right? Like, what does that even mean? And do I have it? So she was able to distill it down to what we actually mean when we say executive presence. And she was able to then longitudinally examine what's changed and what hasn't. So the number one trait, she called it, in 2012 was confidence. Again, in 2022. Confidence, both times at the top of the board. Now, a lot changed. For the better. But that one was evergreen.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think about you as having executive presence. Do you think you have executive presence?
You know, I believe I have Salena's executive presence, right? And I'm comfortable with that. I have chosen, you know, once again, and I deliberately say that, to not have so much vibrato, right? I don't think it's necessary for me to be heard. I naturally talk soft. I enter a room softly. Why would I come in loud, right? So I have learned that's not a space for me. And with life experience and even some of my own testimonial journey items, as I would call them, I can move with ease because of that confidence, right? So the confidence isn't at all loud or have too much bravado. It's just, it's easy. It's natural because it's my space, and I'm comfortable with sharing it with others. I never feel it's an intrusion. If there's another person that I feel is very strong in their presence, I'm like, come nearer. Let me learn more. How do you move that way? What are you doing with it? I'm very interested in people, and I think that's a quality that we often, from a humility space, lack, because we do want to give that traditional executive presence. So it's like, who's the toughest in the room, and
who's the tallest,
and who's the tall, right? And I just don't possess that.
Yeah.
I remember having a assessment once, and the person said, you're often seen as sitting in the back because you will allow space for other people before you take the credit. And I said, good. I said, I am comfortable with you giving me that assessment because it is a truth. I said, when I feel I have to speak up for Salena's, maybe my work or my team, I know how to do it well. And I know how to do it with ease. Yeah.
I love that ease, that word that you keep using. Yeah. There's a type of meditation and where we talk about, may I be happy?
Yes.
May I be healthy?
May I
have ease of well-being? And I remember when I was young and learned about that ease of well-being, I used to think, what exactly is that? So I love that you're talking about that, your type of executive presence, because it's authentic leadership and you're just playing to your strengths, really. It allows you to have the ease around how you move through the world, which shows up as carrying yourself with confidence. I also think it's a very modern way of leading, the way that you lead. And we know this from the research, McKinsey, but also the research I was just referring to. Modern leaders, that the appetite we have now is for a listen to learn posture and for respect for others, curiosity, all of the things that you're talking about, true collaboration, not the bravado and the boisterous and the credit taking and the, tallness and whatever. Yeah.
I remember my mother would say something like, when if I would get frustrated, like, oh, they're always showing off. Or it's like, well, machines break down. Steady as it go. Just do the things that you're assigned to do. And I think I took that, right? I took that very seriously. I'm like, you can't keep up a show. Was really my interpretation of that. Somehow, some way, someday, it's going to break down.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, because I am a true empath, I can see someone's breakdown. I'm like, this is not going well because they're trying to keep it up.
Yeah.
It's like just. Yeah. And I don't want to be that way, and just back to that ease statement, I think, to your point, it's holistic, right? I think that presence is seen because it's not just how you walk in. It's, I'm taking care of my body. I'm making sure my spiritual life doesn't have interruptions from others. This is also joined with my confidence and my knowledge in my work, right? So I have to have those things all in sync, right?
There's no shining it on. Yeah, not for the long run.
That's right.
Yeah,
right.
It will break down.
It will break down.
Boy, your mother is fantastic.
She is. You need to spend a day with her.
I would love to. I would love to next time she's up. So are you able to, I know that you're very intuitive. I know you're an empath. I know you're very curious. I can see you reading others. How do you gauge whether or not someone has confidence, that inner authority, that self-regard, that they have come to the place where they are trusting themselves, they're trusting their future selves? What do you? How can you sense that or see it, or do you? Yeah. What do you think about any of that?
I like that. I think I don't intentionally go in with that, you know, spiny eye, so to speak, but to your point, I do. I guess I do in actuality. There is a way that someone speaks about, if I'm talking in a business sense, there's a way that they can speak about a subject that, you know, we can't fake it. You know, there's a confidence in how they present it, the thoughtfulness on making sure that they have others buy in. You know, they're thinking of all parts of it. It's like, it's not just about what I'm delivering. It's who is this audience and how are they feeling about it, right? And I like a thoughtful and considerate leader, you know. So when I see that, I often say they're pretty confident, you know, because they are thinking, how am I coming across to others? Not to please them per se, but to cater to them for the need and the other necessity of whatever's happening, right? And I think that's important. It's not just, you know, so you don't read a room or, you know, or know what's happening, you're going to go completely left, right? Because you're just going in with an agenda. And as of course we both know, that's just not the way to lead people. That's not the way to join a team. You know, because and anyone that's looking can see it. It's like their agenda is first. It's the only thing on their mind. They're not consulting with anyone else. They're not even, you know, given the eye contact of, I'd really like to know how you feel about this. I want to learn with you. Maybe we can change things up. You know, to me, that's confidence. You know, knowing that it doesn't have to be my way or the highway, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it is interesting that sort of old school command and control, sort of antiquated way of leading, hammer, nail. I'm the hammer, everybody's the nail. Yeah. That really doesn't have true confidence. No, because true confidence has humility in it. Yeah, and faith in whatever the outcome is. And their part that they're going to roll into it. Yeah.
And as an opposing trait, I think when I see passive aggressiveness, you know, are just trying to find that way to have the bravado without the voice, you know, either through emails or, you know, you're like, what in this? Yeah. This is problematic. Yeah. And it doesn't shake me up. It just lets me see character.
Yeah. It definitely reveals that, doesn't it? Yeah. Work is a great place for building character and seeing character and just sort of, you know, standing off the edges of who we are as people. I think I sometimes wonder, you know, would I work even if I didn't have to? Because I need the practice. Yes. Yeah, work People is a practice. Spiritual practice even. Like it helps me become a better me. Yes. Yeah, so I'm getting old enough that I have to make those kinds of decisions. Yeah. So speaking of practice and so, you know, a lot of times when people talk about confidence, they're talking about it as a trait. Right. This person is confident. Well, okay. Not a trait. Not a trait. And so as our team was thinking about this article that we were writing, we were talking that, you know, actually confidence is more like a set of practices. Yeah. And so we were wondering about your practices. Do you have practices that with discipline, you do this practice and the fruit of that is the confidence? What are your thoughts on practice?
Kedren, you know me well.
Yes.
I work out every day.
You do.
Yeah, there's something, and when I say that, people think that I'm, you know, the blood pressure's up and, you know, your pulse is high. Not every day. You know, sometimes that means being gracious to myself and having a meditation and calling it a workout. You know, but move the body some way every single day is a commitment I made. You know, back to that health journey, and I won't stay there long, but at 27, I had a massive stroke.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, I couldn't use any of the right side of my body, and was in ICU for 2.5 weeks or so. So my mom's, right there bathing her, 27-year-old child, and scared to death, and that's when I found out I had kidney problems. They didn't know if it was the cart before the horse type situation, or, what happened. But that journey began when I was 27. And I remember once I came through, one of the things I asked, of course, is, am I going to be able to walk and move this arm and talk right? And their answers, of course, were, I don't know, And then the second question was, what do I have to do to live? Because that's just, I'm like, there has to be something I have to do that's going to change this, right? I'm 27.
Yeah.
So through the next 6 months or so, like a lot of people, I was a young adult without the best insurance. So after 6 visits or so to PT, they're like, well, you're on your own. You have to pay for them. I'm like, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough, and I'm adding this for the confidence piece, right? I was fortunate enough that the person that I met as my physical therapist, she said, well, I'm quitting here, but I would love to treat you at home for free.
Oh my goodness.
She said, because I'm on to something that's a new therapy. Okay. And she was. Now they use it everywhere. It's called restraint therapy.
Oh my goodness.
But she said, I would love to help you regain your strength. That was a big confidence thing, as we were saying. But I'm mentioning this because that was the beginning of my health journey, of saying, how do I live? Not how do I manage this one thing, but I want to live a very long life. I don't want a transplant. I don't want dialysis, right? Which is the first thing that begins to come into the conversation with your nephrologist, right? How do I live? And I said, I have to change my diet. Wasn't eating horrible, but I'm 27, There's some McDonald's in my life at that point, right? It's like, how do you change everything? And I did. I said, this has to be a commitment for my life. And Kedren, just everything. I went 17, almost 18 years without dialysis or needing a kidney before my mother was a perfect match. Once again, that mom.
Yeah.
And
saint.
I know.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen until 2018.
Okay.
So and so when I tell people I work out every single day, it's not just about the body. It's how do I keep me living, the joy of living. And oftentimes that is, who do you associate with?
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Who's in your world?
Yeah.
It's part of your health. It's a huge part of who you are and your health, right? What are you doing for a living? Does that satisfy you? Are you getting joy out of your work? When the moment you're not, you probably need to seek something else. Don't press pause. Go.
Yeah.
When there's an urge happening, listen to it. These are healthy, competent habits that I think I've adopted because of the health journey. And I said, I'm going to live. I'm going to live every day that I'm given to wake up. Yeah.
Do you think you're more decisive because of that experience?
Oh, for certain.
Yeah.
For certain.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think your decisiveness causes you to be more confident?
Perhaps.
Okay, well, I'm also interested in this idea of creating cultures of confidence. So you and I love culture. We love thinking about cultures, family cultures, societal cultures, team cultures.
Yes.
So cultures are sort of the sum of our norms. And they become invisible because that's just what's normal around here. And so first I want to ask, are there any cultures you're trying to develop right now that are cultures of confidence, where there's a more normal way of not bravado, not arrogance, but more sort of owning your own ease of well-being? Yeah. What would you say that is?
Yeah.
A culture you might be developing.
That's a good one. I have to think about a little bit. I think when I'm asked, And, sometimes mentorship is something that's just happening. It's not defined, and that's the best kind, right? But there's a few people that, you identify and as your person. It's like, I have a responsibility to them, and I'm going to invite them where I feel they need to be. And I'm going to make sure that I make space for them. There's some intention with about 3 or 4 women within this community that I have right now. And I think for me, that ease space, not just modeling it, because that's they see what they want to see in me, right? But giving them an opportunity to display it, asking the right questions, or helping them to get into an ease space for themselves. I love being a listener, and because you learn so much, right? And finding out what that means for that person is what's most important in the moment, not how I derived there, right? Because they're going to get there on their own journey in a different way. But what is that going to look like? And I oftentimes, in listening and maybe adding some advice when they ask, can see the potential. And that is the light, right? When you see this person will get there. This is not for nothing. I was led to be in their life for a reason. At work, it shows up oftentimes also with employee resource groups. Now that diversity, equity, inclusion is not so much of a focus in our society, but we still at Armstrong practice. We, of course, use the title belonging for a lot of things. But I don't want those leaders of those employer resource groups to get discouraged. And I want their confidence to remain strong. So the autonomy to make decisions for what is next for those groups, I try to make sure it lays in their hands and not mine. And
so good.
It's just because my ideas are my ideas.
Yeah.
Theirs are theirs, and they have been leading these groups now. We've done this for 5 years, and they know, in essence, probably what Salena's going to say is great or not great or whatever, and they'll come up with a wonderful plan, and then they'll include me in it. I'm like, this is amazing. Look at you. Look at what you have done as a leader, and fostering that leadership to make change. It just makes me feel fantastic. Yeah.
So it sounds like there are at least 2 areas where you are, whether it's intentional or not, you're creating cultures of confidence.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about it, but thanks for bringing it to my attention.
No, it's true. I saw it at your Christmas party. I actually thought that was creating a culture of confidence with that group of women. That was amazing. I don't even go to parties, and I went to that party, and
I was so impressed.
Amazing. Well, it was a culture of confidence.
Yeah, and you're providing that by saying, this is a space that I want you to feel comfortable, and then you create, right? Because then confidence comes with their own ability to make it what they want, right? Versus I'm being directed. And I think that's the comfort we all have with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, I can make this what I want, and I'm a part of something that's positive and strong. Just look at the room and all the power that's in here, right? Power and potential.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
Right?
And you create the fertile soil for that. You say, wear your pajamas, be comfortable.
Yes.
We're going to play some music. You might want to dance because there's a red carpet, and with the ERG group, you're doing the same thing. You're saying, okay, first of all, one of the magic things you do is you listen. And that alone helps people to flourish because you're listening actively. And so they're blooming in front of you. But then when they have great ideas, you may tug on that string and say, tell me more about that one. Go get it. Yeah. And so I love that.
Or I participate like an outsider.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Yeah.
And bringing that enthusiasm, I think, creates the culture too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is such such jet fuel for
and I have
culture.
to say, my own work team. I think working with a lot of, just by happenstance, we have one man and 7 women on my team.
Yeah.
And most of them are emerging leaders, right? They're going to be in my seat in a couple of years, and I want to make sure that they're ready for it. I feel there's an obligation on my part to prepare them for that, right? Or whatever their next is. It's like, how do you not instruct, but help push and support from a space of what they envision for themselves? And I see from our team's formation how they've all begin to grow more and more in their confidence. So that feels fantastic.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to watch, and also to help them discover what their practices are. You have your practices that help build and maintain your confidence, but maybe they have even different ones. And through your listening, through your pulling on that thread, you help them get there and stay true to their practices. Do you think that there's anything that you feel like is particularly poisonous to confidence, or toxic, or something to be avoided? Something that when you're thinking of our listeners on their treadmill, or in their car, that you feel like you want to share your wisdom with them about. Yeah, it's something that might be insidious to creating that kind of inner authority and self-regard.
That's so good, Kedren. I would say the fear of fear. Because we're going to have fear. We're going to have it. But what motivates you to move past fear versus being stuck in the fear? And too many of us, I've done it, get stuck in the fear. It's like before you even try, you're like, but this is going to happen. And this is going to be the results, And I think that's why that plan A, B, C exists in my world, because I'm like, well, what if I fight the bear first? What if, Okay, I might get bitten. I might get scratched, But I believe if I fight that bear first, then I have the rest of my day. I'm gonna fight the bear first. So if there is a bear moment for Salena and I have a choice of when to schedule that meeting, it's going to be 7 or 8 a.m. Because I want to get the bear fighting out. I want to get the fear out. And get past it and have a great day.
I also think about your detachment, your idea of, maybe this is going to be a C+. That's eliminating the fear of disappointment, isn't it? You're really taking on fear, and you're saying, no, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to do this. And maybe it will be mediocre, but maybe it won't.
But maybe it won't.
And maybe I'll get bitten, but maybe I won't.
Maybe I won't. I've gone through chemo, and different journeys with that. And I recently told a friend, you're sitting with your oncologist and they say, this is the choices 1, 2, or 3, or A, B, and C, as I would say. And you get to C, and they say, but this one will more than likely put you in remission and you will never see this again. I'm like, well, C. I don't care what the side effects are. C, raising my hand. And then there's 2 treatments of C. And I said, I pulled the wrong curtain.
Okay.
Let's go back to A and B, you know? And instead of giving me A and B, they said, well, let's change how C looks.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it helped me with the fear part, you know? And I said, this is conquering now, or this is an ability to be able to conquer this now, because I can see it. I can see if you made these particular changes, how this will be better for me. And it reduces my fear, right? Same option C, right? But there's some tweaking.
Yeah. Tailoring. Yeah, so you do the scariest thing. But make it a little, have mixed nuts along the way, or make it a little less tailored.
If the scariest thing is going to be the best results,
Yeah.
it is proven to be the best result. And I like facts. I'm all about data,
Yeah.
And if that is showing that it is the best thing, then help me get there. Yeah,
Which fuels more confidence.
for sure.
It really does, because you say, you know what, I'm going to do the hardest thing, and I'm going to get through it. Yeah, I'm going to fight the bear. I might even kill the bear.
I might even kill that bear.
And then
there's some
look
opportunity
at me.
there.
Look what I did. Look what I did. So what can I do now?
What can I do now?
Yeah, let's take on something bigger.
Yeah, and tenacity has a lot to do with confidence, right? You know, that tenacity makes you say the fear is just what it is. It's an emotion that I'm having about a thing. And how do I conquer this emotion I'm having about this thing I probably need more facts on, Yeah.
I love it. So the fear of fear is the most toxic, poisonous, thing when we're thinking about building our confidence.
Yeah, and I'd say toxic relationships,
Okay.
would probably be, if I had a close second to that, or a tie. Because the things we fill our minds and hearts with is what we believe. Yeah.
Yeah. And if we truly value ourselves, then we're not going to have those relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to learn how to
speak up.
Move away from that. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I was thinking about that question as I was asking it to you. I also think, I think confidence is probably one of the most important ingredients in a flourishing life. I think overconfidence is pretty toxic.
Yeah. Agreed.
Overconfidence.
Pride.
Yeah. So I do, I love confidence. I spend my days helping people become confident. But I think when we overuse it, sort of the pride goeth before the fall, we have our biggest win only to be followed by our biggest loss, because if we lose our tenacity, if we rest on our laurels. So I that's something I think about,
I do too.
Yeah, but I think that luckily there are things that probably both of us, things in our lives that keep us coming back to our knees, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? Camels and Christians,
yes.
right? So the whole idea of the humility of our work, we are there's a lot of humility in it, and friends and family and the world around us.
Yes.
Yeah. Keeps us.
It has to keep me grounded.
Yeah.
It keeps me
Absolutely.
real. Yeah.
Keeping it real. Absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything else that you're thinking about as we're talking about confidence? Is there anything, other ideas that you had that you were wanting to share today?
I'd written something down that I didn't want to forget, so I'll add it, and that may spawn us in a whole nother direction. But the more I act in line with my own values, the less I need external validation. And that alone gives me a big boost every day. Right? How do I center that meditation, my prayer life, my, the center of what I call my, God? How do I place that as the nucleus of everything that I do? And then I can align that with my life. When I walk out the door, I'm like, I'm okay with Salena because of these things.
Yeah.
I know I am firm with these things.
Yeah.
Right? And someone can disagree with them. It's okay. I'm not going to disagree with how you do yours.
Yeah.
Because that's getting you through the day, right? But I think that it dispels years and years of needing that validation for me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Dropping that validation is such a wonderfully freeing, liberating thing to do. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that first we have to know our values. And then we have to align our mindsets and our behaviors and our habits and our checkbooks and our spending and our whatever closets, all those things with those values. And then once we're congruent, ease of well-being.
Yes.
You know, we can trust ourselves.
We can trust
our
ourselves.
future selves. And so, yeah, walking out into the world and just like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes easier every day that you practice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's such a wonderful thing to share with our listeners. How would you encourage people to find their values, to uncover what are my priority values? What do I not care about? What do you practice?
I really liked when, early in the conversation you mentioned, you'll send someone to a Barnes and Nobles or something, right? Just send them to the bookstore. What do you gravitate to, right? I completely agree with that. I think that there is something, some people, luckily for me, the faith that I inherited from my, forefathers and from my parents is the one of my preference, but that's not everyone's choice, right? And that is okay for your life. I completely believe that, right? And I think that you need to give yourself options and grace, because if you're just stuck on this one idea and this one path, you're going to miss so much in life. And your joy is joined in with your confidence. It really is. It's
Absolutely.
A lifeline for it, right? And I think that if I had to encourage someone to do one thing, is practice slowly what ease feels like for them. It could be one little thing, right? It feels easy for me or comfortable for me in my body to meditate for 10 minutes. Do it every day. If it feels easy and it builds you up, do it every day. Then you begin to see, this is changing me because I'm getting little mantras, I'm getting little ideas that's speaking to my day, It begins to change you.
It does.
And then physically, I encourage anyone, maybe walk every day. 10 minutes becomes 20 minutes, right? If you don't like walking, get on a bike or some type of elliptical or whatever. Do it lightly. Do it with ease until you can do more. But encourage yourself to get past the fear of, I just can't, or I never did, or someone needs to go with me. We have all of the different reasons. I used to say excuses, but these are reasons in people's heads. It's true to you, and I validate that, right? It's true to you, whatever that thing is. But practice something, make something a practice, and you will see the ease of which it helps you move through life. And then you start adding things and removing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you, as you were talking through all of those practices, the common denominator there was focus and lack of distraction. So whether it's sort of taking yourself on a date to Barnes and Noble and noticing where you gravitate, or walking or meditating, you're not scrolling. You're
At all.
Not on your phone.
No.
You are paying attention. And so I think that is maybe a big part of discerning who we are.
Yes, it is.
Learning how to maybe move the phone away.
Yes, listen to self.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a physical battle you're facing, listen to your body. It helps you to advocate for yourself better, versus just saying, well, the doctor said I need to do such and such. Well, what does your body tell you? Sometimes the body might be saying no because you're doing too many things or what have you. I know I've experienced that. That's why I've learned a meditation is a good workout, because sometimes I do too much, But how do you make that decision for yourself to start making those steps?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you so
enjoyed
much.
This.
Oh, Selena,
I hope
you're
I gave you
such
half
a
of
gift.
what you needed.
You're a gift.
Yeah.
You're a gift.
Well, so are you.
I think that I think our listeners will be thrilled to learn from you. So thank you so much. I am so grateful to you for being part of this movement of helping others in the workplace enhance their individual and their collective team performance. You're an angel and an inspiration, and thanks for your words of
You're
wisdom.
giving me way too much credit.
Keep shining. Keep shining. I want to and come back in the studio soon.
Yes.
So as is our custom on the Behaviorist, we'll leave you with a quote. And this one, which many of you know, is painted on my office wall. It's from Richard Rohr. We do not think our way into a new way of living, but rather we live our way into a new way of thinking.